This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our meeting today. As Yadisha just said, we are going to start off this meeting with just a quick presentation on NOAA in the Caribbean for new members, old members, just as a little refresher, and then also a little bit of information on where we plan to go as a group as we always continue to listen to new ideas and try to find ways to better engage with our community. Next slide, please.
Is it moving?
There we go. I have some network connectivity issues on my side, so there's a delay. I apologize. So NOAA in the Caribbean was formed in 2011, and this is something that formed from CCART, which stands for the Southeast and Caribbean Regional Collaboration Team, which is a part of NOAA's Regional Collaboration Network. And as an effort to really focus and hone in on efforts in the Caribbean, CCART created this group. Historically, NOAA in the Caribbean has been focused on the United States, but we're really working to expand to reach our international partners as well. And this group really serves as a forum to improve engagement, communication, and coordination between NOAA and partners working in the Caribbean, based in the Caribbean, to work to effectively and efficiently deliver services that NOAA provides to the community that needs it. Next slide, please. And so the goal of NOAA in the Caribbean is to identify and respond to local and regional challenges, needs, and opportunities. And we do this by increasing communication and really providing this as a platform that allows us to connect both formally in our meetings, but also we have a group that we can reach out to at any time with our partners and key users in the region. Next slide, please. And so we have three main objectives to address this overarching goal. The first is to facilitate the identification of local and regional needs and opportunities, and we do that mainly through these community group meetings, bringing NOAA partners and everybody in the region that is interested in joining NOAA in the Caribbean is an open forum. Anyone can join, and we're always looking for more partners who are interested to join these meetings and share what they're working on and hear what NOAA is working on as well. Next slide, please. The second objective is to improve coordination and application of NOAA capabilities. And this is by working on both our internal NOAA communication on Caribbean efforts to have a one NOAA effort working in the Caribbean, but also facilitating this exchange of information between NOAA partners and user community. And next slide, please. And lastly, the third objective is to support NOAA's overarching Caribbean strategy. And this is a more internal NOAA efforts, but working on achieving all of these goals and objectives that are laid out in the overarching strategy. And this kind of provides our organizational framework for our activities and composition of the group. Next slide, please. So what does this group look like? We see everybody on the call, but people are coming from a wide variety of different groups, organizations, nonprofits, you name it. And by no means is this logo soup here all comprehensive. There are so many partners that we can't even have a single slide, but really it's a diverse multidisciplinary partnership of NOAA and partners in the Caribbean. And it really, the group reflects the capabilities of what we're able to do given everyone's unique background and experience in agencies that they're coming from. Next slide, please. In addition to our overall community, we also have our executive team. I'm not going to go through every single member here. However, you can see the folks that we have working with us and kind of working behind the scenes of all the newsletters you see, the meetings, the emails. It's this wonderful group of people within NOAA that help guide this group. And you can see just based on the descriptions, they're coming from all different parts of NOAA and have really unique backgrounds that help drive our work forward. And whenever you send an email to the Caribbean News email address that I will highlight here at the end, it goes to all of these wonderful people that you see here. Next slide, please. So we've touched on this a little bit, but we're going to make it really simple and straightforward. What do we do and how are we addressing these things? As I mentioned in 3 objectives, we're identifying local needs and opportunities, advancing collaboration across NOAA and our Caribbean partners, and we're maintaining relationships and sharing resources. One way we do this is through our community group meetings like this, where we bring in partners to present on really interesting and important topics, but we also open it up to hear from our community and have an open forum. We have our annual partners meeting this year. It was virtual. In past years, it has been in person. This is a wonderful opportunity to have a really focused objective of a meeting and address certain topics. The listserv that you all receive emails from consists of over 600 people, both again, internal NOAA and external partners. We have a community newsletter that you all receive, and we produce reports as well. Next slide, please. And so what has 2024 looked like to date? Welcome to the 3rd community group meeting of this year. This includes today's meeting. Our next meeting will be on November 15th. You will receive many emails about it, but mark your calendars for that date. We had our annual partners meeting where we had 11 different partners present. We broke it up into 3 different regions, and it was focused on restoration, spanning from coral restoration all the way to terrestrial restoration, including dunes and mangroves. We really tried to cross ecosystems, and we focused on the USVI, Puerto Rico, and international Caribbean. And I think this was a great success. We had 126 attendees, and this recording is online. If you missed it and you're really wanting to know what we talked about, all of our meetings reside on our YouTube page, so you can always refer back to them. Thus far, we have had 2 published newsletters in English and Spanish. We are working on a 3rd, and there will be a 4th by the end of the year, so stay tuned. And we also produced the NOAA and the Caribbean Inventory Report, summarizing all of the work that is being done in the Caribbean. Unfortunately, this is a NOAA internal document at this time, but something that we have been working on, and we hope to continue to share resources like this with our group as a whole. Next slide, please. And so we're looking to revamp, bring some new life to the group, and have some really exciting directions moving forward. Our 2025 annual partners meeting will be in person. I'm just going to throw a little teaser out there, so get excited for more information. We will share details shortly. And we're really working to refresh the newsletter. And this is where we want you all to really help us out. We want more community involvement, contributions. What are you working on? Is there a story you'd like to contribute? We want to know what's happening and bring this to life in our newsletter and highlight the amazing projects that are being done. Updates on NOAA grants, on projects, etc. And we're really trying to focus on an international corner, and we're striving to use more inclusive, plain language so this can reach a much broader community. On the NOAA side of things, we're looking for more line office involvement, trying to broaden the portfolio within NOAA in the Caribbean, and we're working to have an internal NOAA meeting to again work on this one NOAA effort with the Caribbean, and we're looking to offer training sessions, whether this be grant writing, how to use NOAA resources. So this is something you'll see hopefully here in the coming months, and something that we're really, really excited about. Next slide, please. And finally, here are just a few ways you can get involved. You're doing one right now. You're here at the community group meeting. You can present at the end of this meeting. I mentioned we have a kind of forum where you can present updates, introduce yourself, who do you work for, if you have any funding opportunities, anything that would be relevant to the community, we encourage you and invite you to present. If you don't already receive the newsletter, if you're attending this meeting, you likely received the newsletter, but again, we would love to have more contributions, share stories, opportunities, updates. You can always reach us at the Caribbean News email, also the email that you receive updates from regarding the newsletter and these meetings, the Southeast Caribbean, you can region email, you can always access that email as well. So if you're interested in learning more about NOAA in the Caribbean, you can always reference our website here. And if you are not signed up for the listserv and someone sent this link to you, please go ahead and sign up for our listserv, and that Google form that QR code sends you to, you can always share that web address with folks if you want them to join our community group as well. But with that, I will turn it back over to Yaritza. And if there's anything else you'd like to add, please feel free to jump in.
Thank you, Damie. I can pull up this last slide at the end again, and so people can scan the form, and if they're not on the listserv, to be able to join. I'm gonna stop sharing, and I'm gonna pass it. Oh, wait. Okay, over to our first presenters. There's gonna be some time for questions. We added that time, but also at the end you can add any other questions as well. So I'm gonna pass it to Glorimar and Krista. I don't know if you're able to share your screen.
No, I can't share the screen yet. It says, ask the organizer to make you presenter. Before I did, okay, here, yep.
Awesome.
Wait, no, wait, just wait, let me do something first.
Ahora aquí está.
So, oh yeah, that's, okay. Okay, okay, good
Great,
morning,
thank
everybody.
you.
Hello, good morning. This presentation, I'm going to start talking about the project we've been working since the beginning of this year. And then we're going to have Krista von Hillebrand, talking about the warning program. Okay, so my name is Glorimar Gomez, and I was contracted by the International Tsunami Information Center in the Caribbean, Caribbean office, which is led by Krista von Hillebrand, and we are located in the University of Puerto Rico, Mayagüez campus, and we share office with the Puerto Rico Seismic Network. Okay, I worked for the Puerto Rico Seismic Network for about 16 years as education and outreach coordinator, which gave me very strong foundations for the job I'm doing right now. There's a biography that is included in the invitation that it was sent, so you can just read through and just to see more of what we've done. The title of my presentation is Tsunami Safety Rules in Braille for the Visually Impaired Communities in the Caribbean. And what you see there in raised dots says Tsunami Safety Rules, just as it is shown. Next slide. Okay. Can we? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this project started with a request from St. Lucia, which it seems like they have a lot of visually impaired people there. And we found out after some research that there was nothing ever developed in Braille related to tsunami safety. So that's when this whole project started. Braille, I encountered that not everybody knows what Braille is. Well, Braille is not a language, but it's a code of combinations of raised dots that has a meaning. And it can be read with the fingertips by people who are blind or have low vision. It can be written and it can be read, and is done in English, Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, and many other languages. You can have words, letters, punctuation marks, numbers, and even the musical notes. So it's very, very completed. And some of the facts that we have about the blindness in the Caribbean, which I believe justifies the job that we are doing now, is that blindness in the Caribbean is estimated to be a 1%. That's according to the Barbados Eye Study. But this could be higher in countries like Haiti. According to Orbis, which is another agency, more than 26 million individuals who are visually impaired in Latin America and in the Caribbean. Out of those 26 million, 3.2 are completely blind. You have the link where you can, if you want to browse for more information later. Can we just hit the, okay. I'm gonna see if I can share this link. Just going to show you how it works, just like that, and then you can use it in the future. Okay, I think. Okay, yeah. Can you? Do you guys see it or not? This is Vision Atlas.
You can see the website. Looks good.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, we see the.
Wait,
Okay.
sorry. I got hidden there.
Okay, we'll get back.
Okay.
Okay, this is very interesting. I found this site that it says that in 2020, there were 6.2 million people with vision loss out of those, 260,000 people were blind. If we can scroll down, you have the whole information in the Caribbean, but you can also check by country over here, okay? We can use Barbados, just for an example. Scroll down, please. Okay. Okay, and it shows you Barbados, and then you can see the population. Any people approximately are blind, which is 0.20%, and all vision loss 14.30%. Women are more prone to blindness in every country at any age. Okay, so you can select whichever country you want and then see what's the percentage. There's much more information and there's comparison and so on and on. You can look through. So you have the link here. See, so that was just for you to just see it. Next slide, please. Okay, I just group a little, some of the countries, the population, those ones that are severely visually impaired, and the ones that are blind. Obviously, Puerto Rico, which has a 2020, 2.8 million of people, 650,000 people about are severely impaired, but we have 19,000 blind people, completely blind people in Puerto Rico. We also have the numbers for Dominican Republic and some other countries for us to compare. Okay, why is the need to have tsunami safety materials adapted to Braille? Not translated because, like I said before, it's not a language, but it can be adapted. So in the past, those are facts. In the past 500 years, 67 tsunamis, at least 67 tsunamis in the Caribbean have occurred with an estimated of 4,500 people losing their lives. Tsunamis have been generated by earthquake, landslides, and volcanic eruptions. Based on historical evidence, the region can expect to experience approximately 4 deadly tsunamis per century, and millions of residents and visitors are exposed along Caribbean shores to these threat. And most important, that's when we come out with this project, is that no tsunami safety material has ever been adapted to Braille until now. I want you to see this map just to for you to check, our Caribbean area, and we see a lot of red dots, which if we see the legend underneath, most tsunamis in the Caribbean have been generated by earthquake. But you also see like a little cross, which is landslide, and another one that was generated by a volcano. Okay, next. Okay, EDIC card initiatives for 2024. I put there the 3 main ways to understand that a tsunami may be occurring. If you hear a loud roar from the ocean, just consider that's not normal, so it can trigger a tsunami. If you feel a strong or a long earthquake, and if you see a sudden rise or fall of the ocean. So those are like 3 main nature signs that can give you an idea that a tsunami can occur. You see a sudden rise or fall of the ocean, obviously our blind people won't see that happening, but they have other ways to see, and they have the other 4 senses very well developed to just, it's interesting when I face some of the blind people here in Puerto Rico, and I said, well, we have to change the word see because you guys don't see. And they say, we have so many ways to see. We see. So, and then I didn't go any further on that, but because that's what their vision of what seeing is. And if they have other ways to figure out, they're seeing. Next. And these are the Braille tsunami safety rules. It has been adapted to Braille in English and Spanish. Is one of our flyers, and it has been transferred word by word, letter by letter, without obviously the pictures. It has been translated into 4 pages of Braille code. So you see a copy there that was in Spanish, but we also have it in English. Next one. Okay, this is one of our initiatives on the last Caribe Wave, March 21st. We visited Industries for the Blind in Cabo Rojo, which is an industrial sewing, tailoring factory that has around 12 to 15 blind people that work there. So we had 2 of our participants reading the manual or the flyer. Okay. This one is a video. It's a very short video of a workshop that we run with the Puerto Rican Association for the Blind. Yeah, so let me see, can you try again, please?
Yeah. Doesn't want to run.
No, it doesn't want to run. Okay. Well, it was interesting because we could see and people reading the Braille material, but it doesn't come out. Well, we have also we've been partnering with the National Federation for the Blind in Puerto Rico. Here are this is Tomás Cintrón, which is a visually impaired program teacher, and his wife, that they've been helping a lot with other projects that we're doing, like the one that we're going to see next is a coloring book that has been adapted to Braille, even with pictures. We collaborate with Adam Monzon at the Ecoexploratorio, and at the top, I became a member of the National Federation for the Blind, Puerto Rico, so I can participate and learn more from them. This is something that we're very proud to have. It's the Earthquake and Tsunami Coloring Book in Braille. The book is in Spanish and it's in English. And then with the help of the National Federation for the Blind, we have it adapted to Braille. You can see two of the pages. The dots, we see some of the pages is written in Braille, but it also allows children to color inside the dots. Those dots are raised so they know where to color. So it tells you how to do it. Next. So we've been working with blind organizations and communities in the Caribbean. We continue doing it so, and we have sent dozens, hundreds of those materials to different organizations, blind organizations in the Caribbean. We have those, Jamaica Society for the Blind, Bahamas, St. Vincent and Grenadines, Nevis and Lucia, Barbados, Dominican Foundation for the Blind, and so many more. Next. What's next? What we're working on? Well, next Friday, I'm going to be participating at a workshop, How to Guide a Blind Person. That's going to be in Lares, Puerto Rico. On the 25th, there's a webinar that's called Advancing Scenario Practice to Motivate Mitigation, and it involves inclusiveness. That's important for our blind population. There's a summit, the National Weather Service Service Equity Summit. It's going to be remote, but it is a summit that lasts 2 days, the 2-3 of October. On the 15th is a very important and very, very nice activity. It's the International Day of the White Cane. It's going to be in Lares. We're going to have from all the blind agencies and organizations in Puerto Rico are going to be participating. They're going to have the one judoka Olympic blind person, which is Luis Jabdiel. We're going to have painters, musicians that are blind. Also, there's going to be an informational table, obviously, for us to have material. And one good thing in Puerto Rico, we have the only one astrophysicist, a scientist, which her name is Wanda Diaz Merced. She's the only one in the world, and she's blind. She's going to be having some activities, launching some rockets that are going to be built up by groups there, and they're going to have prizes for that too. And we also have the annual convention, which is going to be in Aguadilla from the December 13th through the 15th. Okay, and this is our last slide, which is our ongoing work and what we're dreaming for. We want to continue impacting other blind communities in the Caribbean. We are in process of gathering the feedback and thoughts of those ones that have received the material. We really want to get the recommendations, suggestions, changes, and what else we can help out with. We are going to continue promoting inclusiveness of visually impaired people when developing tsunami safety material and tsunami exercise like Caribbean Wave. Helping the National Federation for the Blind to identify funding so they can acquire an industrial braille printer. The coloring book that we just saw in a couple of slides behind, it was adopted by the recording studio here in the university, which is CREAT, and they are going to make it as a video and also as MP4 for the blind children, so they can hear too. and it's going to use a different method. It's called the scripted script. So it's like the same book in video, but telling what the people are doing in the meantime, so they can have an idea what's happening on the video. And also the last or not least important is that EDIT card is going to keep submitting the USAID a continuation for a continuation proposal, so we can keep working with the blind communities. So that's thank you in Braille. So that's about it on my side. Krista is gonna go next.
Thank you, Glorimar. Well, I transition to the next presentation. Let's see now, let's see. Okay, so I just want to this whole program that Glorimar has just shared with you. It's the result of the Tsunami Ready program implementation. So as we implement Tsunami Ready in Puerto Rico and across the world and in the Caribbean, for which USAID provides funding, we ask communities, what special needs or requirements do you have? What do you want to do? What has not been done that you feel is necessary? So so tsunami warnings are accessible to all. And when I say tsunami warnings, that's understanding the whole process, from understanding what is that awareness, the preparedness, and then the response aspects. And it was the country of St. Lucia that said, you know, we really need to address, or we have a special request that blind people specifically be included in the initiative, and they requested that the material be transcribed into Braille. And we've learned a lot through this process. And one of our next one of the requests is not only to have the material in Braille, but also to have it in enlarged text, because a lot of people just they don't read Braille, but they, or they don't need to. They have enough vision that they could read the text if it was actually larger. So we'll be doing that in large text. So hopefully USAID has been, you know, open to this, and Puerto Rico has been like a test ground for a test bed for many of these initiatives. But I'm going to take a step, and I'm going to focus in on what, you know, tsunami warnings are in the Caribbean. And I want to, you know, once again, that holistic approach, you know, to be an effective, you know, to have an effective tsunami warning that saves people's lives, we first need to make sure that people are aware of what tsunamis are and what their impacts are going to be and where the impacts are going, you know, could occur, and then have them take the measures to prepare for them, and then respond adequately. And yeah, my name is Krista von Hillebrand Andrade, and I've been with NOAA and the National Weather Service for now, 14 years. So I was hired in 2010, right after the earthquake of Haiti. So the day that earthquake was occurring, I was getting the offer from NOAA. The earthquake was actually occurring, and NOAA was like, will you accept this offer, human resource? I'm like, yes, I have to address this earthquake. So it sort of was like, yeah, it was sort of that was interesting experience. You never know when these events occur. But before that, I was director of the Puerto Rico Seismic Network and working here for almost 20 years. And before that, I was working in Ecuador, where I was focused on volcano hazards. So, and before that, I was raised in Puerto Rico. I wasn't born in Puerto Rico, but I came here when I was a year old, did all my my elementary and high school studies in San Juan, and then I got my bachelor's degree in the United States with a combination in Germany, and then I was a Fulbright scholar in Ecuador, and that's when I started studying volcanoes, which led me to earthquakes, which then has led me to tsunamis. So I just wanted to, Glorimar would have addressed the fact about tsunamis in the Caribbean. She would have mentioned that there's at least 67 confirmed tsunamis, and the tsunamis are generated by different sources. Most of them are associated with earthquakes, but we do have a very large percentage of earthquakes that are also associated with, earthquakes that generate landslides, and just landslides that generate tsunamis on their own. And then we have volcanic activity, which also generates tsunamis. The largest tsunami that has been reported was in 1867, and 15.2 meters, that's over 60 feet, was observed, what the documentation says. But that is from the base of the tsunami to the crest, so the trough to the crest. So if you think what is the inundating part, you would divide by 2, and so that would be the part of the inundation of the tsunami. And we have a lot of, there are examples of that. And then of course we have the 1918 tsunami here in Mayagüez and others in other parts of the Caribbean. But just to, sometimes when we think, oh, 1867, that was a long time ago. Yes, and there was just one. There was 2 Navy ships in Charlotte Amalie. So yes, there were people at risk, but you can't compare to what that risk is today, what the vulnerability is. The same area where you see that Disney cruise ship right in the middle of the harbor, that was the area where the Navy ship was spinning around during the tsunami, and people lost their lives from that ship as it was destroyed by the tsunami. But then you also have your so many other cruise ships. So we have, tens of thousands of people exposed to tsunamis, especially if it's during daytime, and if there were, ships in harbors, it could be Puerto Rico, same thing would go for San Juan, but Charlotte Amalie is specifically exposed. One of the things that tsunamis are very different, from other type of events is they're extremely short fuse. That means that there's basically very little warning time. And what you're seeing on this map is encircled, the area that's all encircled by 1 hour. That would take the time that a tsunami would travel, would impact. So if you're anywhere in Puerto Rico, if a tsunami is generated with any of this area of this 1 hour circle, would be the time that it could approach Puerto Rico. So all this area, if you get something, north of the Puerto Rico Trench, or within the Caribbean, Eastern Dominican Republic, and Northern, we're talking about less than an hour. And of course, those times can be even, as we know, in 1918, it was less than, people were still feeling the earthquake when they were observing the tsunami flooding northwestern Puerto Rico. So, it's extremely, we don't have days like in the case of a hurricane to prepare us to say there's something coming. Also, one thing that it's very important to keep in mind, and we have to keep reminding people in our public outreach and our awareness, is that tsunamis are a series of waves, and the first wave may not be the largest. Many people have died in tsunamis because they say, oh, the tsunami is going to arrive at this time, and yes, there's a wave, and then it's sort of small, it's just a couple centimeters, and say, oh, well, that's okay, we can just all go back. Well, the next, it could be the third or the fourth wave could actually be the largest. And also to recall that for, in some cases, what's most dangerous is the inundation. So if we're on land, we're concerned with inundation. But if you're a ship in a harbor, you're also very concerned about the drawdown because many, Charlotte Amalie, even in San Juan, and we're just talking about a couple of meters clearance these ships are making. So if you get a drawdown of several meters, well, that could be a big problem for a lot of ships that weren't designed to be, on dry land. So I just wanted to highlight that. So the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center is the warning authority for tsunamis for Puerto Rico, the U.S., and the British Virgin Islands. When I say that they're the warning authority, that means that they are responsible or have the authority to actually issue an alert. And I will talk about, we provide services also internationally, but when we provide them internationally, we do not say there is a warning or there is an advisory or there's a watch. It's up to each country. We just tell them what is the level of threat, how big the wave, when the wave could be arriving, how big they could be. But in the case of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, we actually issue the warning, the warning message, the alert itself. And some people may ask, wow, so the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center is located in Hawaii on Ford Island, very close to Pearl Harbor. You cross over the bridge in Pearl Harbor to get to Ford Island. PTWC is located on the top floor, and the International Tsunami Information Center, the main office, is located also with the PTWC here in this NOAA facility, which is an amazing facility in terms of all the different NOAA offices that are located there and their education, outreach, and their lobby. It's really amazing infrastructure they have there. But some people say, wow, but how are they going to be able to do this? They're all the way there in Hawaii. Here we are in Puerto Rico. Isn't there going to be a huge delay? Well, basically, to issue a warning, what Tsunami Warning Center, we we warn on detection. So we have to detect an event, and based on that, then we'll issue a warning. And our detection mechanisms are seismic stations and sea level stations. And they're receiving the data just as fast as it's being received here, for example, at the Puerto Rico Seismic Network, or I'm observing it on our monitors here. So and they're receiving and analyzing this data, and they have over 15 staff members, always 2 on site, that have, are tsunami experts. This is their day job. This is what they do every day, is they're locating earthquakes, establishing whether it has a potential tsunami threat, and then following up with readings on sea level stations, both from land and from sea, to then see, confirm whether a tsunami has been detected and making the forecast. So when it comes to tsunami warnings, there's 2 types of tsunami warnings. There's the natural warning signs and then the official. Lorimar would have mentioned about the natural tsunami warning signs. And this is extremely important because, the feeling of a very strong earthquake, or seeing the water recede, or hearing a thunderous sound from the ocean, are all indicators that a tsunami could have been generated. And people need to be able to respond to that, because the travel times, remember, they're very short fuse. So tsunami could be hitting within minutes of an earthquake occurring. And while the other type of warning, which is the official warning, that can take 3 to 10 minutes to disseminate. So it's very important that people are aware that if you feel, see, or hear, feel an earthquake, or see or hear these anomalies in the sea, then you should react immediately. Within the official warning paradigm, we have 4 levels of alert. We have the warning itself. We issue a tsunami warning when we expect there to be tsunami flooding. So if we expect there's imminent tsunami, a possibility of tsunami flooding, tsunami inundation, or tsunami inundation is occurring, then we will issue a tsunami warning. The next level of tsunami alert is called a tsunami advisory, and this sometimes creates a lot of confusion because it for different types of events, for hurricanes and weather, it means something very different than what it means for a tsunami. When we issue a tsunami advisory, there's imminent threat, action needs to be taken immediately. But what we're saying is that the threat is limited to the ocean only. So there is only a marine threat. So we could have very strong currents. They could, kill people if they're caught up in the waters and the waves and the currents, or ships and boats in the harbors and ports could be affected, but no tsunami inundation is expected. And I think that's very important for people to understand that difference. Then we have a watch, and we issue a watch when there has been an event, most likely an earthquake, but it could be a volcanic eruption, and there's a possibility maybe that would have generated a tsunami, but it's going to take at least, if a tsunami was generated, it's going to take at least 3 hours to get here, get to Puerto Rico or the Virgin Islands. Then we will issue a watch, and that means stay tuned. We're going to be, updating the information. Give us some more time to look at that sea level data, to do some more forecasts to see whether we have to upgrade the watch to an advisory or a warning, or just cancel. Now, what we mostly issue is a tsunami bulletin, and that means that there's no threat. There has been an earthquake, but it has not been large enough to generate a tsunami, or there's been an earthquake, but the type of earthquake is not one that's going to create a tsunami. So that's when we issue a bulletin. Now, when an alert is issued from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, it has different ways, multiple mechanisms by which one can receive it. And these mechanisms will take different time. In the case of warnings, and only for warnings, will PTWC, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center in Hawaii, be able to activate the wireless emergency alerts that we will receive on our phones. So even though their wireless emergency alerts can be activated locally, but then they can be activated also by certain agencies have that authority. PTWC is one of them. So as soon as a warning is issued by PTWC, the phones here will sound just like they did for COVID or for other situations, or we do through Kariba Wave. Then there's other mechanisms that are automatic, but they're not based in some of these automatic messages are alert VI. So The U.S. Virgin Islands has a service by which it's continuously monitoring the alerts issued by PTWC and the USGS, and they will put out alert notifications that can reach the cell phones and emails or phone numbers of people that have signed up for the service. Also, TV channels will automatically pick up the PTWC messages and put it in scrollers across their TV. So you will be able to see very quickly, CNN or somebody like that will just pick it up. But then there's some other ways, that mechanisms that require local activation. So for example, the Puerto Rico Seismic Network, when it receives the PTWC message, it will put it on the website. It will do RSS feeds. The Puerto Rico Bureau of Emergency Management will issue a wireless emergency alert. Emergency management organizations by TEMA and here in coastal municipalities of Puerto Rico will sound the sirens. The National Weather Service of San Juan will activate the EAS and the NOAA weather radio. But all these require different times. If it's immediate, we're talking about, it's the same. PTWC issues a warning, it's on your phone. We're talking about seconds, seconds delay. Automatic, it should also be pretty quickly, but it might be, might take up to a minute. But local activations like the sirens or the NOAA weather radio, I mean, they could take, minutes to several, tens of, more than 10 minutes to activate these systems, depending what the situation is. So that's why it's so important, once again, those natural tsunami warning signs. And people can go online. This is our website, and we're very excited. It's going to be totally redesigned. We're going to have a totally different website in a couple of months by the end of next year, by the beginning of next fiscal year. So, but this is where you can always go and get the most recent information on tsunamis. But just as important as issuing the warning is then telling people, the warning has been canceled and there is an all clear. And now the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center will issue a cancellation. And what that means is there's no more threat. We expect no more flooding. We expect no more currents. We expect, that is what we understand from the data that we are receiving. But the all clear that says it's safe to return, those can only be issued locally and by local authorities. So by TEMA for the Virgin Islands or the Puerto Rico Emergency Management Board for the case of Puerto Rico. So how do you get ready? So here we have this, millions of dollars operation when you count, it's $40 million when you count what it takes to maintain the DART buoys, the offshore tsunami detection system that we have, and sea levels and seismic stations, and operating 2 tsunami warning centers. But at the end of the day, people need to be ready to respond. And the United States has been, since 2001, preparing communities through a program called Tsunami Ready, which establishes a set of indicators, mitigation, preparedness, and response indicators, which the communities meet. And when they meet them, then they can get the recognition of being tsunami ready by the Weather Service. Both the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico had its first community in 2006, recognized as tsunami ready. In 2015, all of Puerto Rico was tsunami ready, so 46 municipalities. And in the Virgin Islands, also in 2014, all the U.S. Virgin Islands was recognized as tsunami ready. There's another program where Tsunami Ready is implemented at a jurisdiction level, so it's a municipality level or at the island level in the Virgin Islands. But within a community, there can be institutions which need that want to be more ready. They want to have some specific preparedness. So not just okay, there's a municipal tsunami ready map, but what is the hotel going to do? What is that hospital going to do? And so for that, there's a program in Weather Service that's called the Tsunami Ready Supporter. And so then they coordinate how they're going to communicate tsunami messages within their stakeholder group and within their populations. Exercise.
Can do one more minute?
Yes. Okay, yeah, I'm just wrapping up. So in Caribe Wave exercises, they're held every year, and it is the International Tsunami Information Center that coordinates that. And the next exercise is on March 20th, 2025, and we'll have a transatlantic scenario, so tsunami generated in Portugal, like happened in 1755, and one generated off Jamaica. I just wanted to quickly, not leave out, the PTW that also ITIC, International Tsunami Information Center, Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. We work internationally with 48 countries and territories, providing threat messages, which then they convert into alerts. And with USAID, we've received funding to implement the UNESCO IOC Tsunami Ready program, which is modeled after the US program. And next week, we'll have ceremonies in St. Lucia and Dominica for their new Tsunami Ready communities. And our next islands we'll be working are in Antigua, Belize, Honduras. And I just wanted to, tsunamis are definitely not as frequent as earthquakes, not as earthquakes or hurricanes, but the infrequency does not protect us. The percentage of tsunamis in the Caribbean is equal to the Indian Ocean. And 20 years ago, the fact that only 10% of tsunamis occurred in the Indian Ocean did not protect the lives of 225,000 people that died. So that's why we always have to be vigilant and prepared and as ready as possible. And it's about all these people that, that are closer or their daily lives or their vacations take them to our regions, that we need to make sure that they're prepared. So that's the mission of the International Tsunami Information Center, is to make sure people are aware, prepared, and ready to respond to tsunamis, and working that together with the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has amazing information, and thank you for making it accessible to the general public. We're gonna hold questions after our next presentation. So I'm gonna pass it now to Angela from the Puerto Rico Sea Grant. Angela, do you have access to present?
Yeah, let me see.
While Angela brings her presentation, I also added a link to the chat. So please, if you can, add your name to the list of assistants. And yeah, please hold your questions. And we definitely have a lot of interest in both topics.
If you there it is. I think. Can you see?
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. Okay. So you can see the presentation because
Yes,
I'm
it's
not
there.
sure. Okay,
Yeah, I
perfect.
can see it.
Okay, great. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation and having me here. My name is Angela Ferra Elias, and since 2014, I have been working as an educator for Puerto Rico Sea Grant. And this morning, I will talk to you about our curriculum materials and educational activities. And also, we'll learn more about what each of these curriculum materials includes and how they can be implemented in the classroom, and how can you access all of our materials. So let's begin. There we go. First, let me start with our mission here in Puerto Rico Sea Grant. For us, it's important to promote the sustainable use of Puerto Rico marine and coastal resources through our three main components. That is research, marine consulting, and obviously education. Here you can see our main curricular guide. As part of our mission in Puerto Rico Sea Grant, it's important to conserve and protect all of our marine and coastal resources. And because of that, we have developed a variety of curricular materials. Among these materials are the following curricular guides and teacher guides. The first of them are the mangroves, seagrasses, coral reef, climate change. And in 2014, I think, we published our first curricular guide, was the mangrove forest and the seagrass meadows too. Then in 2016, we published the coral reef teacher's guide. And in 2019, we published climate change. So these materials are in English and Spanish. In 2021 and 2023, we published the mangrove forest teacher guides in English, as the seagrass curricular guide too. But coming soon, hopefully this year, we are going to publish our recent one about marine debris. We are super excited about this one. It was super fun to develop all the activities. I will be showing that to you later on. But we hope we are in our doing the final touches to this one. So we hope this is the coming soon one. But we also have two laboratory manuals in addition to this curricular guides. This was developed considering the need that the teachers from the Department of Puerto Rico share with us about the lack of laboratory materials. So we created these two manuals considering the needs that the teachers in the Department of Education have. And these manuals have everything you need to do an experiment in your classroom. We create all of our materials thinking about what our teachers have in the classroom. So we are used to create different activities just using and reusing different materials you can find for, I mean, very cheap cost. And let me show you what is the content of these curricular guides. I'm just using the climate change as an example, but all of our curricular materials have basically the same components. So we start with a curricular guide designed for the teacher, and it contains all the teacher needs to develop their classes. So it also includes a CD with all the editable documents so that the teacher can adapt each element and their material to their classroom. It begins with a scientific background about the subject because we know not all the teachers know everything about every topic. So it's important to create a scientific background so these teachers can learn before they can teach. So it includes that scientific background and also have a PowerPoint presentation with notes to the teacher. So in that note, we explain to the teacher, okay, you can explain more about this and you can adapt this to your classroom by trying to find more information about this topic. So those notes are there for the teacher so they can learn how they can teach. It also includes all the plans that the teacher needs. This is the highlight, I can say, for our materials because we know the teachers have a lot of work and sometimes it's hard to create all these materials and adapt them to their specific classroom. So here we try to give it all they need. So the educational plans are from elementary through high school level, along with all activities. It's important that they are aligned to the Department of Education standards. This alignment is important because it allows us to insert our materials in the classroom. By doing this curriculum alignment, we ensure that our materials are relevant to the current needs that the classroom has. And also all the activities and laboratories, videos, also music, we create it all. So this way we can include all the classes. It also has a thematic guide so the teacher have additional information and resources available. Also includes a pre and post test because it's important to evaluate and have the necessary tools to measure the improvement in the student learning. So to measure their the learning gains they have a pre and post test. And it also have a student handbook. It contains the scientific background on the subject, as I said before. So if the teacher wants to give an assignment and the student need to learn or read more about the topic, they just can use the handbook and they can came to the class with all the material they need. And one of my favorite elements is the storybook. Each of our curriculum guides have a different story. We create these stories here in our office with all our team, so it's a very fun process to us to develop and create these stories. So our main character here is Pepe Uca and his friend Lulo. They are two crabs that live in the mangrove forest in the south part of Puerto Rico. But through each of our guys, they live different adventures and they have to adapt and they have to be creative. They have to survive. So it's very cool. The students here love it. We go to the schools and we um, read the storybook for them and we do a lot of activities. I will show you more of that in a little bit. So as a resume, here you can see this is like a bundle for all the our curricular guide or what each set includes. So you can see everything is available online. Everything of our all of our materials are free to download in PDF format. So here you can scan the QR code and get the link. I can also share with you the link in the chat later. But since 2014, that we began implementing these educational materials through December 23, we have served 1,500 teachers and more than 252,000 of students. So a lot of work. So here you can see an example of the implementation. I just have to say I love my job. I love what I do. So that's why I have my my character there, working with a few students. We do demonstrations. As I say, we read the storybook when we visit them. And so our implementation takes place in the traditional classroom, as you can see, and also in an active in the active environment and in the field. So we do a lot of field trips too. But after COVID-19, we have to redo our curricular guides and convert them into online courses and workshops. So since 2020, we offer all of our workshops and courses through Moodle and WordPress platforms. For each workshop, we create or we modify the online course because each one is different. So we adapt them. And here you can see how it works. Most of the time we do we implement like a hybrid. We have a few people in person in our classroom and a lot of more people online. So there you can see a little bit of that production. But in the time I have left, I will share with you some of our activities, some examples of the activities included in each of our guides. As I mentioned before, each of the guides includes a storybook. So here you can see an example of what we do when we visit them in the classroom. This storybook is part of one of our lessons. So they read the story. And in this one, they must identify which areas in Puerto Rico mangrove tree can be found. So the story guides them and indicates according to the adventures and the characters that I mentioned where we can find trees, mangrove tree. And in addition to this, after they read the book, the students can create a short story to narrate the end. So we have different activities with just one storybook, for example. And this way, we integrate geography, social studies, Spanish. It's important to us to integrate all the classes to our activities. Here you can see what I was saying. You have the map here. So when the students read the story, they can put a mangrove sticker in each area where the story says the Pepe and Lulu found mangrove. So when they end, they have to analyze, why I just can't find mangrove here and not in this other area, okay? So that's an example of that one. And in the seagrass activity, something important is that although our curricular guides, each one is unique. So they have different amount of units and lessons because it depends of the subject that we are working, but all of them goes from the most simple or general to the most complicated or specific. In this way, we make sure we are building the learning process in a logical and organized way. So as I say, all our activities are very active. So here you can see in the coral reef guide, they identify the different parts of the coral polyp using different candies. They also use healthy foods. Obviously, they prefer candy, but they can use both if they want. And they build their polyp and they create that. And then when they finish, all the polyps come together and they can form a colony. So that way they can learn the difference. So as I say, we have this in-person activity, also online. So you can see the adaptation there. And as I said before, we also create videos and music, and we integrate all this technology to the classroom. It's important for us. So here is a virtual guide that we created because unfortunately, not all of the students have the opportunity to go and visit a coral reef in person. So for this reason, we created this virtual guide. And in this video, students can see a live reef and have the opportunity to learn and identify different elements and for the coral reef, so they can see, they can experience that. One of my favorites, as I say, is the climate change teacher's guide. And we also include demonstrations. That's the way I like to teach. For me, it's important to teach the way I will have like to learn. So that's why we have all this interactivity and these fun activities that the students can do. It's super important to us to create different activities so the students can develop and can learn. This curricular guide is one of the last one published. It has 900 pages. It's the largest one because it has a lot of activities and demonstration and laboratories. So when we create an activity, we make sure we include all the instructions. Our coordinator, Dr. Delmis Alicea, and the main she created all this, so she always makes sure all the instructions are there. So that's why we have pictures, explanations in every process. Here you can see some of our students. They was working in an experiment. When we visit the schools, we take all of our materials and equipment so they can do everything. And our coming someone, the marine debris teacher's guide, it's coming soon, as I say, but we are implementing already. We work at a few workshops already, but we have another one coming this next 11 in October 11. We are offering a workshop for teachers. It's gonna be hybrid too. It's gonna be about this marine debris teacher guides. But as you can see here, this is one of our activities. We created a new marine species. In this activity, the students have to identify this new species and they have to classify it according to its type. This new species is called trashy forms. So they have to identify the trashy form. They have to compare it with the real species, and they have to classify them according to its type. Very important for us is that we test all of our activities before we publishing them. So you can see here one of our volunteers, collaborators, trying to give us some tips on how we can improve. Here you can see more of what we do. As I mentioned before, everything is adapted online. So here we have an interactive poster. We design everything. We have illustrators here that help us with everything. And for this marine debris curricular guide, we create a board game. It's called Vuela y Sálvate, fly and save yourself. So that's what you need to do. Basically, you have to choose one bird and you have to try to save them. And through this game, you can learn more about the impact on marine debris on birds. These are, you can see our teachers in our last workshop. They were playing. It was super fun. And also, here is the board game, but online. We create everything. We adapt everything again. We also have a laboratory and a necropsy. Here you can see an example of that. We always include a lab activity. So in Marine Debris Guide, we included this necropsy. The idea is that through role play, students can become biologists or veterinarians and can identify the cause of death of these species that they have encountered. So we also try to make our educational activities inclusive and adapt them to different special needs students. So in this particular activity has been, I can say maybe approved by the blind member of the community. So it's super fun. It was a super great experience for me to teach them through this example. So here are our teachers working during the necropsy. Also, we have the online, as I say. Here is our contact information if you need more about this. If you want to download our materials, obviously you can access our webpage and get more information. So if you have any questions, I don't know how to stop the, oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Angela. This was great. I mean, I wanted to put hearts on all the pictures with the kids playing, but this doesn't let you do it. But this was a great presentation, and it's super aligned with the NOAA Climate Ready strategic plan. So thank you for that. And I would like to ask Krista and Glorimar to come back into the screen too, because we have a couple of questions. If there's any questions for Angela too, please write them on the chat or raise your hand. We do have, oh yeah, this is, yeah, okay. I saw a question around here. Dami, maybe you have them accessible?
Yes, there's one question. Are there communications with other Caribbean countries or international partnership to share information across the Caribbean? And I believe that came in during our first presentation.
Yeah, so the tsunami warning system is coordinated globally through UNESCO and its Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission. And for this, they have established an intergovernmental coordination group for tsunami and other coastal hazards for the Caribbean adjacent region. And it includes 48 states and territories, from Bermuda through Brazil, from Mexico through Barbados, in which Puerto Rico and the US Virgin Islands also participate actively under the United States. So all our efforts, Tsunami Ready, the tsunami warnings, the tsunami threat messages, trainings that we provide, the exchange of seismic and sea level data is mostly all done through this coordination mechanism established through UNESCO IOC. So what our office does, the International Tsunami Information Center, the Caribbean office, we will receive requests through or recommendations from the Intergovernmental Coordination Group, which meets annually. And based on that, then we will do things like the coordination of the Kariba Wave exercise or implement Tsunami Ready. And for that, then we also seek out funds from USAID that they have available for the Caribbean. So yes, it's all coordinated at a regional, and Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands are very active participants. In fact, one of the vice chairs of the Kariba EWS is Miss Regina Brown, and she is a deputy director of VITEMA.
Great,
And there's
thank
another
you.
question too. Yeah, go ahead, Demi.
Okay. The other question for you is, what are the major factors for a tsunami in the Caribbean?
That could take. I'm not exactly sure what aspect of tsunamis, but if we're talking about what is the source of tsunamis, why do tsunamis occur in the Caribbean? That is because most of them, over 80% of them, are due to earthquakes. So large earthquakes that occur at the plate boundaries of the North American plate and the Caribbean plate, and in the Pacific and the Cocos plate and the Caribbean plate, so in the Central America. So we have that, but other factors that have impact on what type of tsunamis or what their impact is has to do with the bathymetry and the topography, and that's so be able to establish what is a tsunami threat. In terms of inundation and through marine currents, what we do is that we model all the different sources, whether they're earthquakes or volcanoes and even landslides, and then are able to then project those onto shore and into ports and harbors, and we do those hazard assessment. Then another aspect has to do with the whole vulnerability factor of addressing both local populations, residential populations, workforces, and then we have a lot of tourism, so tourism is involved. So it's when we talk about the whole tsunami warning paradigm, there's the science of the science of tsunamis, and then also the preparedness, and then the delivery of the warnings. I hope I answered the question. Yes, in U.S. Virgin Islands, I see that they said that they tested their system yesterday. The U.S. Virgin Islands really has an extremely advanced system of of sirens, and also I talked about the VI alert system, which notifies people when I receive their messages through my cell phone. And they have a monthly test, and where they actually go out and activate all their sirens. I think it must be at least over 20 sirens now, and they are like constantly every day checking to see what their performance level is. They have at their 911 centers. It's because the easiest thing, believe it or not, is to install a siren. The hardest part is to maintain the siren and make sure that those messages that are issued and the alerts that come out in the sirens are understood and heard by the public. And they have done a fabulous job following up on their whole siren system. In fact, they have weekly meetings to discuss this.
Thank you, Krista. There was a question from Angela. She answered it already, so thank you for that. It was about how can we request the materials, and Angela shared 2 links, but you can also visit Sea Grant in the UPR Maya West, and they are super friendly too, and they super accessible, and you can actually see the materials firsthand. So you can send them an email and visit them too. I'm talking for you guys, Angela and Delmis, but I know that you're happy to receive people there too.
Yes.
There's another question for you, and it's what are the age groups for the Sea Grant trainings, preschool to high school? Is there a similar educational program for communities?
Yes. We work with pre-K students through college students. We work it all, and in the community too. So we can adapt all of our materials. They are designed to implement them in each level.
Yeah, thank you. And this question might be for Catherine. Does anyone in NOAA use a subscription service for translated webinars into Spanish in real time?
Yeah, thank you for your question. This is actually something that we're trying to track down now and figure out how to do, so I can keep the community group updated on that. Thanks.
Okay,
I just
we're gonna close. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Krista.
This is a very, one of the things. I've been part of the NOAA in the Caribbean community for many years. And, just exactly what she's saying right now is like, these are the kind of things that have, been so important is in the coordination and knowing what tools that we have. Sometimes we're so busy working on our areas, and there's really important things like this translation of webinars. I mean, if we can get something like that, that would be absolutely fantastic. We do this Kariba Wave exercise every year, and then we have to hold 3 webinars to be able to get, English, Spanish, and French audience. So if there's something that can be done there, that's great. And I'd just like to say that I have like contractors like Glorimar and other contractors here in the office and students that work. And that's something that I learned through NOAA in the Caribbean, how through the University of Miami, we could use our federal funds and put them there, and then facilitate interns working in our office. So through the University of Miami. So fantastic. And that's why, I just want to do a big shout out for NOAA in the Caribbean and everybody, Lisa Marie, who's been there for so many years. And I really I see a lot of new faces and really participate. There's just some really good tidbits that you learn here that help our coordination. Before, we had no idea what NOAA offices were doing in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. I initially, would talk international, and it took a long time for NOAA in the Caribbean to embrace the international community. But, we see that, it's one ocean, it's one Caribbean sea, so you have to do that. So I just want kudos to all the leadership and people that dedicate time that they don't probably really have readily available to do this effort.
Yeah, thank you. We're gonna close the questions right now, but if you have further questions, please reach out to the presenters or us. I share the email again if you wanna share it with us, and we can just share it with the presenters as well. We're gonna be including a summary of this also in the next newsletter, and we can add any additional questions there answered. I want to go real quick through the announcements. We have about 4 minutes. Demi, do you want to summarize the first one? Demi sent an email on this one. It's like the Peru conference. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yes, and we'll send out notes from this meeting, so you'll have links to everything I'll share later. But there is a call for applications for a LAC Connections Symposium in 2025. As Yarisa just mentioned, it will be in Lima, Peru. These applications are due September 30th, so you still have time to get these in. This was sent out again if you look back in your inbox, and we will get these notes to you so you can see more information. I will just quickly share the link so you can have quick reference here, but we'll go ahead and open it up to the other announcements so we have time for everything.
Thank you, Amy. I'm going to pass it to Chelsea from Islamar Research Expeditions.
Hi, good morning. I see a lot of names that I recognized in the list over there. So really my purpose this morning was just to briefly introduce who we are. I know some already know us. We do a lot of work with Sea Grant and have worked on several NOAA projects, but we are Islamar, formerly Islamar Research Expeditions, and we're located in Puerto Rico. We've been operating here since 2015, doing marine science education and other marine science related research projects. But recently in 2024 and in 2023, we developed a youth education program and a citizen science program, which kind of led us to evolve our organization into a nonprofit. So as of 2024, we're now a 501c3 nonprofit here in Puerto Rico. And so we're happy to just offer our services to other organizations and collaborate where we can. And so I just wanted to jump on this call today to kind of just introduce our transition. Thank you.
Thanks, Chelsea. And Chelsea actually has grants with NOAA, so we're looking forward to keep collaborating with Islamar. Alexandria, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay.
Well, I have a couple of announcements. The first is that we have sent out a save the date for the Caribbean Conservation Community of Practice. So for those who are not familiar, that's kind of a broad group of federal, territorial agencies, as well as nonprofits and university partners who have been kind of coming together on an annual basis just to connect and find opportunities for collaboration. So we will be meeting the week of March 25th on St. Thomas at the University of the Virgin Islands. I'll drop a link to our webpage in the chat for those who are interested in kind of hearing more. There is a link to sign up for our listserv, and NOAA has been a great partner in that conservation community of practice. So thanks for giving me a little bit of time to share about that. And then the second announcement I have is for those who may not be familiar, the Southeast Conservation Adaptation Strategy, or CCAS, develops a kind of Southeast and US Caribbean spatial plan called the Southeast Blueprint. And we will be updating the blueprint soon, but we're going to be hosting workshops, particularly looking at, getting feedback for how we can update and improve the blueprint in Puerto Rico and the US Virgin Islands. So I'll also drop a link to some of those resources, but particularly for our partners on the phone who maybe are not familiar with the blueprint, my role there is to help folks access data. We incorporate a lot of NOAA data into that plan, and really my job is helping folks kind of use the data to tell the story about the great conservation work they're doing, particularly for grant proposals and things like that. So I'm going to drop several links in the chat, but thanks for giving me a little time today. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. I know we ran out of time, but if anybody else have another announcement, the rest of the announcements are mine, so I can just quickly go through them. But does anybody else in the chat or in the meeting has any other announcements that wants to share? Okay, so real quick, you still have time if you have marine debris that needs to be removed or add interception technology, you still have time to submit letters of intentions. You can send me an email directly for more information. We do have a Tropical Islands Partnering Solution webinar series that Caribbean, Pacific Islands, and the Florida Keys are partnering. And the next webinar is on October 8th, and it's going to be specific to dirty fishing gear or abandoned fishing gear and the management of it. And also the Caribbean Regional Response Team meeting is going to be November 12 and 14, from November 12 to the 14 in St. Croix. So more information with the EPA. Okay, if there's nothing else, thank you all. These were great presentations. I really appreciate all the great information. Also, Damie, for I said 6:30, but it was 4:30. It's now now it's her 6 a.m. Now it's her 6 a.m. So thank you for joining and doing this, and thank you all for joining. Hoping to see you in the next meeting. And if you have people that you know can be interested or have benefit from these meetings, please share the link to get in the listserv. Okay, thank you all. Anything I missed, Catherine or Damie, that you want to add? No? Okay. Until next time, bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.